The US dollar is ultimately set for collapse. The reason that this is going to happen is because all these other countries are choosing to use their own currencies or other currencies than the US dollar. Normally, they have to use the US dollar to do trade in between each other. The commodities are measured in US dollars. So that gives them a monopoly. It props up their currency and they're allowed to continue on these games. But a lot of that is changing, and you can see that right now in many countries. I've done videos about this. I talked about it in my book. Right now, France is in the picture. France hit out at dollar dominance in international transactions. So they were, BNP was hit with a $9 billion fine in order to, they were helping countries avoid the sanctions. So right here, the French finance minister, this isn't me, this isn't somebody else or just some analyst, this is the French finance minister saying that they need a rebalancing of the currencies used for global payments, and saying that BNP should make the case that make us realize that the necessity of using a variety of currencies. So he then says, why aren't we using the euro? Why aren't we using the euro to do transactions within other European countries? Why give the US such a monopoly that they take advantage of to prop up their system when we can be doing that on our own? And it undoubtedly makes a lot of sense. Let's go in here. Basically, France's BNP to pay $9 billion to avoid for the U.S. sanctions violations. So they go on, and you could read the article for yourself. But essentially what he says is, let's try using the euro. Let's try using other currencies, not give the monopoly to the U.S. Now, if I go on further into this article, this is out of the Washington Post. Basically what they said was they were helping out the clients in Sudan, Iran, Cuba, and again, the whole $9 billion. And they said, this agreement includes a rare year-long suspension of the bank's ability to convert foreign currency into US dollars. So they're penalizing them in a way so that they can't use the US dollars, but at the same time, they have the monopoly, so that you have to use US dollars. So this is pushing them up against the wall, and they're not going to be able to do business the way they used to before. So this is obviously going to make them think, why do we need to use the US dollar? There really is no rule or law set that they must, so they're going to have to, let's say, diversify out of the US dollar. And this is not just France. I've gone over this already. Many countries are choosing to use other currencies, and they're actually talking in here about using the emerging countries' currencies. One of them obviously being China. China is big in the news. I just did a video about this, how their currency is being bought up by 40 different central banks. Now, of course, this is small potatoes compared to the US dollar, but it makes a big splash in the world when they are able to do this over the next few years, slowly but surely, to diversify out of the US dollar, and they start buying up more yuan, more euro, and other currencies. That's the way this is going to work. Let me go on. Now, somebody else tried to diversify out of US dollars. In fact, here he is, Saddam Hussein, in the year 2000 said that Iraq says from now on it wants payments for its oil in euros, saying that the US dollar is the currency of the enemy. I want euros. I don't want this US dollar. And it was not too long after that he was declared the enemy and he needed to be invaded. So this is the kind of thing that happens when you go against the US. You can see BNP being sued, and it doesn't really seem right to me that the big banks are getting sued because they're all on the inside. So something fishy is going on here, and we know that it doesn't turn out good when you go against the bankers. Right here, sanctions dodge India to pay gold for Iran oil. They're doing a direct trade, or this is back in 2012, saying that they're going to do a direct trade for commodities and go against all these other currencies. Why use the currencies? You have something I want, I have something you want, and they just do the transaction in between each other, and it works very well. And that's what these countries are choosing to do. They are diversifying slowly but surely out of the US dollar and avoiding that monopoly and avoiding the propping up of the system that they hate, essentially. So that's a huge thing. This is going to be a big step forward for these emerging markets particularly, and it's going to continue on and on slowly but surely. And once again, I need to stress that it doesn't happen overnight. This is a slow but sure process to be the ultimate death of the dollar, something I cover many times before. Now, I will say that just make a note here, that X22 report was shut down. You may have known him, a similar channel to mine, and they just wiped him right off the map. His channel doesn't even exist on YouTube anymore. He said there was without warning. It just happened just like that, and this could happen to anybody. I don't know what the real story is, but just going by that, they could just wipe you right off. I know for myself, they always consistently warn me, saying that I'm using copyright material. Now, admittedly, this hasn't happened in quite a while, but for a while there, they were saying I was using copyright material. I never do. I just show the articles on the screen, I talk it over it, and that's about it. But they can shut any of us down. You have to do what you can to speak up against this type of thing. We just want freedom of speech. That's the First Amendment rights in the US, and everywhere in the world basically has this right for freedom of speech that we need to fight for, or else we lose. So if you like this type of information, I hope that you will become an insider, where I give out the best intel. It's totally free. It's at themoneygps.com. You go to the bottom and fill in your email address, and you get occasional emails from me. Hope to see you there.